But this is supposed to be a crime. To me, there's no way you are supposed to be able to do this to someone and it's not a crime. When you think about the things that are considered crimes are when you transgress against someone, you transgress the law against someone else. And I think this is, by all means, by any means, any way you're looking at this is supposed to be structured in such a way that people don't go through things like this without having some kind of recompense coming from the criminal legal system. And what I'm talking about is the accusation that recently went past with a man in Trinidad and Tobago who was accused of the most egregious of gendered crimes, if you know what I mean. We'll get into exactly what it is as we go on further into the video. And it turns out that the accusation physically was impossible. Since the accusation came out, it was already known physically this whole thing was impossible. And I find it very strange that you could accuse someone of something that is obviously untrue, that has far-reaching and heavily implicating consequences on their life with this accusation, and you could go about your life normal after an accusation like this. While you could accuse someone in the bamboo, a businessman in the bamboo, of stealing cars, and to me, accusing a businessman in the bamboo of stealing cars is similar to accusing in Trinidad and Tobago, accusing the Chinese restaurants of serving you dog. Yes, it's an insult. It is an insult. It's not a very nice thing to say. It's a bit stereotypical. But a lot of people do say it. It's not something that's strange in the Trinidad and Tobago zeitgeist. So yeah, it's not the strangest thing to accuse a bamboo businessman of accepting stolen cars. But if you do that, you accuse a bamboo businessman of accepting stolen cars, you could find yourself transgressing the law. But accuse a man of rape and have zero evidence of it, and you could live your life as normal. We're going to jump into this case and see how this went down. If you haven't hit that like button yet, though now is a good time to do that, please hit that like button. Hit it right now, yes. And drop a comment if you have something to say. If you have a comment to say on these issues, if you have a comment to say on the topic, drop a comment. If you are not yet subscribed, now is a good time to be subscribed. And let's dive into this story. Man freed of rape after victim's hymen shown to be intact. 14 years after he was accused of rape, an Erin farmer was on Thursday freed following medical evidence that his then 11-year-old accuser's hymen was still intact and she suffered no vaginal bleeding after the alleged incident. A mixed jury consisting of 5 men and 4 women returned a unanimous not guilty verdict against Damian Garcia, 44, after deliberating for 2 hours. So this man from the age of 30 till the age of 44 has been under a rape charge, and not just any and every rape charge, a rape charge against an 11-year-old girl. That makes it different. That makes the consequence in society when it's said, okay, so what did they charge you with? What are you having some legal troubles with? Well, an 11-year-old girl. That's not something that goes over easily in society. And you know, I find, when I look at things like this, and you hear in the modern feminist talk, they talk about the rape culture in Western societies. I totally disagree. Now, I do agree that some men in their thwarted sense of masculinity have some horrible views of consent and understanding human sexuality. I agree with that. But by and large, culturally, in our society, it's not a cool thing for a man to be accused of that. That does not go down well. You lose probably your entire friend group if that happens. And it's only 14 years later that he was found innocent of this. So 14 years now. The thing with these kind of charges, a charge like that, I think when it comes to general society, a rape charge, an assault charge, that kind of pedophilia line stuff is guilty until proven innocent. When accusations like that come out with you, it's kind of guilty until proven innocent. And even after you're proven innocent, it's like glitter dust in the rug. If you pour glitter dust in the rug, it never really quite gets out, even if it's proven otherwise. The matter was heard in the High Court. We don't need to read all of that. The state's main witness, now resident in the USA, testified virtually via video link. I also find it curious that the main witness is not in Trinidad anymore. When the case came to the fore, when the case is now resolved, the witness is no longer here in Trinidad. Curious. According to the evidence presented in the trial, which began on March 6th, she said she was 11 years old on December 14, 2009 when Garcia raped her. The incident is said to have occurred at the family's home at Park Ridge, Siparia, where the victim lived with her sister as her mother had died sometime before. Even in this, granted, when it happened, she was underage. But right now, 11 plus 14, that's not an underage person we'd be dealing with. I find it interesting that up till now, her name isn't mentioned. The man's name is plastered all over. We all know the man's name, but the name of this person who no longer is a victim, they're not a victim. This person may very well have been a perpetrator. Now, granted, they were 11 years old, so they may not have been the perpetrator. And when we read through the entirety of the story, they may have been more of an accomplice, but still, it's interesting that their name is anonymous. But Mr. Man's name is all over the place. The incident is said to have occurred at the family's home at Park Ridge, Siparia. Garcia also lived in the building with his girlfriend. The alleged victim said he warned her not to tell anyone about what happened. She did not tell her sister about the incident, but because she was pregnant at the time, the sister, but confided to two friends and a teacher on January 18th, 2010. WPC Inspector Shelley Ann Reed, who charged Garcia, testified for the prosecution that on January 25th, she took the girl to be medically examined. Reed testified that Dr. Ganga Bhagirathi's medical report found the girl's hymen to be present. Now, there was some slight alterations on the hymen, but by and large, the entirety of the hymen was present. In case you don't know what the hymen is, it's a little membrane inside of the vagina that generally ruptures upon the first time of penetration, of serious penetration, because it kind of partially blocks the passageway. So if something is attempting to enter, it will rupture the hymen by and large, and there would be some blood. That's Biology 101. Just so you know, in case this is a good time to bring this up, this is all sponsored. This is a sponsored video brought to you by Mindful Education. Mindful with 2 L's _ education. You can find us over at Instagram. We offer, that's the educational institution that I run. We offer learning pods, which are like homeschool styled classes from the ages of preschool, go straight up to CXC levels. They are small 6 student classes, small groups, so that you have that familiarity, you have that comfort, so you can go ahead and excel in learning. We also offer private tuition, one-on-one learning, private learning for most CXC and CAPE subjects. If you are struggling in any of those CXC and CAPE subjects, mostly the sciences is where we specialize in, and mathematics also. If you would like a private tutor in any of those, be sure to hit us up. Carrying on with this story. In his defense, Garcia testified that the rape charge was fabricated to get him out of the house. He said the girl's aunt was always demanding he pay monies towards the maintenance of the house, apart from a prior agreement to share only electricity and water bills. This led to conflict and abuse against him and calls for him to leave the premises, he testified. As a barber at the time, one who made house calls from Mondays to Thursdays, Garcia said he would not have been at the house at the time of the alleged incident, around midday on a Monday. He said he usually left for work between 8 to 9 a.m. and returned home around 3 to 4 p.m. In his closing arguments, Ratiram, which would be his attorney, told the jury that the alleged act described by the girl, that when Garcia was having sex with her, he was very rough and it was very painful, were highly improbable, especially noting the medical evidence that was found. It is unrealistic that the alleged act, as described by the girl, could have occurred, yet the hymen was still present. There was no vaginal bleeding and no external injuries to her body, he submitted. The jury returned a not guilty verdict against Garcia, obviously. Now, my thing is, something like this, I find someone should be prosecuted. How is it that the man was accused of a crime like this? The thing is, this accusation bore with it the possibility that he could have been serving decades in prison. And you put on someone the possibility of serving decades in prison, disrupted their entire life for 14 years with a false accusation, and then you're able to go about your life in the United States as normal. Granted, as they say here, the even Garcia believes that the main perpetrator of this would have been the aunt. But 14 years later, for the lady in the United States, now being 11 plus 14, which would be a 25-year-old young woman, for her now at 25, she would be an adult. Sensible. If she is still lying about it, that would be a crime. That is a crime. How is it that he wouldn't receive any kind of legal comeuppance out of this? No one is going to be paying anything legally out of this, very likely. Now, on the flip side, I was reading about Mr. Kroko there, the Calypsonian, and a judge orders Kroko to sing sanitized version of song or face contempt charges. And for those of you who don't know, Mr. Kroko sang a song that may have allegedly, possibly, referenced a certain businessman who lives in the Bamboo. Now, the Bamboo is a region in Trinidad and Tobago known for selling used car parts. Nearly anywhere in the world known for selling used car parts has reputations for being where stolen cars are dissected and etc. etc. The Bamboo being a hotspot for stolen cars is a story as old as the Bamboo itself, probably. And not saying that it may not be defamatory in nature, but that accusation made by a Calypsonian tar man is something that has the whole country now with their attention peeled on it. And the accusation, what strength does that accusation bear? Even if the accusation is true, he directly called the man's name and said this businessman in this place has been doing this criminal activity. That isn't enough to charge the man. He isn't going to go to jail for this. He is saying that he may lose customers and his reputation, yada yada yada. But if we're being realistic with this, a businessman in Bamboo isn't losing customers with the reputation that he may have sold stolen goods. That's not losing any businessman in the Bamboo any customers. Customers kind of probably expect some of that. So, yeah. However, that has legal consequence. But accusing someone of rape, risking them losing decades of their life, mashing up their reputation with the country, because that destroys your reputation. You think being accused of stealing car parts destroys your reputation? Try being accused of raping an 11-year-old girl. Yet, I feel pretty certain nothing is going to come of this. The man is going to be relieved that he is now innocent, and grand he is found innocent. Perfect. But I don't think that's justice. I really don't think that's justice. I think in order for justice to be served in something like this, the person who perpetrated an act like this, the person who permanently soiled someone else's reputation, the person who attempted to imprison someone for decades, because that's what you attempted to do. You attempted to get them imprisoned for decades. You permanently soiled their reputation. I think you should have some consequence to pay for that. But that's what I think. Tell me what you think. And I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained by this, and I will see you in the next video.